Lionhearts of the Time of the Bab, Month 4, Azamat Grandeur. Mullá Husayn meets the Bab. In our last story, we were in Shiraz learning about Khadija Begum. She was the wife of the Bab, and the first to recognize his station. In this story, we will learn more about Sayyid Kazim and meet Mullá Husayn. When Sayyid Kazim passed away in Karbala, his disciples or students were very sad, and they were unsure how to continue their work. The most trusted and learned of Sayyid Kazim's students was not there. Mullá Husayn was on an important mission in Isfahan. He knew nothing of the death of his beloved teacher. 22 days after the death of his teacher, Mullá Husayn returned to Karbala. He consoled the heartbroken students. He encouraged them to obey their beloved teacher's last instructions. They were to purify their hearts. They must pray to God to be enabled to discover the Promised One. They must leave their homes to travel far and wide. To find him they must search. Not for an instant should they rest. Mullá Husayn shared Sayyid Kazim's message with other followers. After some time, he left Karbala to search for the Promised One. This time, he was not alone. His brother and nephew traveled with him. The three travelers fasted and prayed for 40 days in the great mosque of Khufu. There they begged God to prepare their hearts. They beseeched God to guide them. Then they set out for Persia. Their first stop was the seaside town of Bushir. Again, a spiritual force pulled Mullá Husayn, and the travelers began their journey north to Shiraz. When they arrived in Shiraz, Mullá Husayn set off alone. He felt strange and disturbed. Then he saw a young man wearing a green turban. Suddenly, all confusion vanished. That young man was Sayyid Ali Muhammad, later to be known as the Bab. His face was radiant and smiling. He welcomed Mullá Husayn like a long-awaited friend. The young man and Mullá Husayn walked together, and soon were standing at the door of the young man's house. The young man quoted the Quran, "Enter therein in peace secure." The young man's servant, Mubarak, opened the door and welcomed them. Filled with joy, Mullá Husayn followed the young man, his host, to a chamber. The young man prepared the tea as they talked. When the time for evening prayers approached, Mullá Husayn prepared to leave. The young man asked him to stay, and side by side the two prayed together. About an hour after sunset, the young man began to ask Mullá Husayn questions about his search for the Promised One. Mullá Husayn listed all the things that Sayyid Kazim had told him to look for. He would be of pure lineage. He would be of illustrious descent from the seed of the daughter of Muhammad. He would be more than 20 and less than 30 years old. He would be endowed with innate knowledge. He would be of medium height, would abstain from smoking, and be free from bodily deficiency. The young man exclaimed, "Behold, all these signs are manifest in me." Mullá Husayn was spellbound. He thought of the final test that his teacher said would confirm the identity of the Promised One. Without being asked, the Promised One would explain the surah or chapter of Joseph from the Quran. Without a word from Mullá Husayn, the young man continued, "Now is the time to reveal the commentary of the surah of Joseph." Not once did he pause. Mullá Husayn knew he had found the Promised One. Then the young man said, "O thou who art the first to believe in me, verily I say I am the Bab, the gate of God, and thou art the Baha'u'llah, the gate of that gate." At that moment it was 2 hours and 11 minutes after sunset. It was the evening of May 23rd, 1844. "This night," the Bab declared, "this very hour will, in the days to come, be celebrated as one of the greatest and most significant of all festivals. This is the moment that Baha'is honor the holy day we call the Declaration of the Bab. The grandeur of that moment will be celebrated for centuries to come. Can you find Bushir, Isfahan, Karbala, and Shiraz on your Lionhearts map? The Lionhearts map of Persia and Arabia can be found at www.minerichandgems.com. Lionheart questions. In this story, who meets the Bab? You remember? And number 2, what are the 2 attributes of Mullá Husayn that were mentioned in the story? The Universal House of Justice, in its Rizwan 2018 message, says this about the Lionhearts at the time of the Bab. Heroines and heroes, may their example give courage to the youth who are once more summoned to the vanguard of a movement aimed at nothing less than the transformation of the world.